Mr. Zhu dispatched me to the countryside the next day to handle a demon-related case. I discovered Mr. Zhu was a very wealthy man. He even owned a luxury car. The fact that Mr. Zhu accepted me as a student made me very proud. I looked around the car and pretended to ask Mr. Zhu, "This car is expensive, isn't it?" "So you think being a ghost catcher is the way to become very rich?" Mr. Zhu asked while looking at me. I told him that the recent cases I had encountered had all been beneficial to the police, and Police Officer Jiro had also suggested that I open a shaman service, so I thought Mr. Zhu's advice. "Of course, we need money to survive, and there are many people willing to pay a very high price," said Mr. Zhu. Mr. Zhu, on the other hand, quickly became more serious, stating that this profession was dependent on the situation, whether to receive money or to help others for free. He also made a lot of rules for himself. The idea was to only accept money from the wealthy and to help those in need without taking a single penny. I continued to converse with Mr. Zhu as the car drove into a village, which Mr. Zhu introduced as the village where he was born and raised. His grandson approached him for assistance. The car just arrived in the village when I noticed a man and woman waiting by the roadside. When he saw our car approaching, he quickly waved hello to us. It had to be Mr. Zhu's grandson. Mr. Zhu's grandson was in his 20s and full of energy. He dashed in front of the car to point us in the right direction. The car veered off the road and came to a stop in front of Mr. Zhu's grandson's house. Once inside, Mr. Zhu's grandson invited us to sit, and then he introduced us to his friend who needed assistance. His friend named Gang. Mr. Zhu stated that his face did not look good, so please tell him the entire story as soon as possible. Gang claimed that his house was haunted after a few words of courtesy. The workers were hurt while working on the house, but he didn't care because he thought it was just an accident. When the house was finished, the 3-person family moved in, and many strange things began here. They are sleeping in their beds at night. But when they opened their eyes, it was dawn. The odd thing was, they were all sleeping in the yard. And not just once or twice, but 3 or 5 times in a row. Gang was so terrified that he refused to move into the new house, so the entire family lived temporarily at his mother's house. Gang also found someone who knew about yin and yang, feng shui, and was told that the house feng shui was excellent. Mr. Zhu stood up after hearing Gang's story and stated that he would go to Gang's new home to have a look. I accompanied Mr. Zhu and his grandson, follow Gang to his new residence. Mr. Zhu took a look around the house. I was not familiar with feng shui, and I was not sure what he was looking at. It was just a regular tile house in my opinion. Mr. Zhu kept an eye on the house and confirmed what Gang said. That house has good and positive feng shui. But then he turned around and said sternly, "Feng shui is good, but it's very strange." Mr. Zhu still had the impression that there was a yin inside, and this had only recently occurred. "Underneath this house, there are dead people buried," Mr. Zhu said abruptly. Gang detected a hint of understanding, but did not dare to express it. Mr. Zhu pointed out that Gang's yang house was built on the foundation of someone else's yin house. "Did you come across any graves while digging the foundation for the house?" Mr. Zhu abruptly inquired of Gang. Then he assured Gang that he would assist him in resolving the problem, and he instructed Gang to prepare some necessary items. Mr. Zhu also mentioned that we would be staying in his house tonight. Mr. Zhu's grandson and Gang left after they finished talking. When Mr. Zhu opened the door to Gang's house, I removed my glasses. I thought I saw something in Gang's yard, but there wasn't anything there. That night, Mr. Zhu told me to make up the bed, that he would act as bait, and that I would be tasked with using an important weapon. I was curious and wanted to ask him what it was. Mr. Zhu simply laughed, saying, "You'll know when it's delivered, just wait patiently." Just a few minutes later, Mr. Zhu's grandson opened the door and walked in. claiming to have prepared what Mr. Zhu had requested. I couldn't see what he was holding, but the stench of feces and urine filled my nostrils. I covered my nose and turned around to see him enter with 2 buckets of feces and urine in his hands. Mr. Zhu could clearly not stand the odor. He said, "Oh, you leave it outside." "Kang, you are going to learn how to catch ghosts with these 2 buckets tonight," he added. Mr. Zhu's grandson was taken aback, but he didn't dare to ask any more questions, simply putting the 2 buckets outside. I was taken aback when I asked Mr. Zhu how to use those 2 waste buckets. He immediately told me to stick to the plan and to teach me how to catch ghosts. I couldn't sleep at midnight because I was so nervous. Mr. Zhu appeared to be sleeping soundly. After a while of lying down, I heard him snoring loudly. Suddenly I heard the door creak and a gust of cold air blew in. Because I didn't wear glasses, I saw 2 people walk in through the door. I remained motionless as planned, glancing around to see what those 2 ghosts were up to. They hovered in front of him, making angry faces at Mr. Zhu and me. Mr. Zhu purposefully lied down on the outside of the bed in order to entice those 2 ghosts. They lifted him out of bed, just as Mr. Zhu had predicted. We were waiting for them to bring Mr. Zhu out. I immediately sat up and ran out the door. I probed, watched, and eventually found them in the yard. I saw them put Mr. Zhu on the ground, muttering as if cursing, but I couldn't understand what they were saying. I took advantage of the fact that they weren't paying attention and dashed out of the room, grabbing 2 waste buckets at the door. All of this was part of Mr. Zhu's plan. He acts as a distraction for them, and I acted from behind. I approached them on a tiptoe, making as little noise as possible. I dashed off to place a bucket on a ghost's head. Because the old ghost didn't prepare in time, I caught him. In other words, the bucket worked, sucking him inside. When I succeeded, I didn't waste any time and swam over the other ghost with the remaining bucket. 2 old ghosts were caught in 2 buckets in an instant. They struggled and protested relentlessly inside the buckets. I bent down and pressed hard because I was afraid the bucket would be overturned and they would run out. But when I pressed one down, the other vibrated and I tried to hold it down too. I felt a huge force in these 2 buckets and it clicked. A constant stream of black gas was coming out of the gap. When I saw a golden light hit the bucket as it was about to fall off, I was stunned. It turned out to be a yellow talisman. It was Mr. Zhu and he sealed the 2 buckets with 2 yellow talismans. The buckets then stopped moving. Mr. Zhu exhaled a sigh of relief and stated that everything was going well and that he had suppressed 2 old ghosts. Mr. Zhu examined the 2 buckets and questioned the 2 ghosts inside when he heard a sound that seemed to come from a very open place. Their voices could be heard as angry as well as pitiful. The elderly couple one by one stated that this was their home and that no one was permitted to enter. After they had finished speaking, Mr. Zhu stated that Feng Shui in their underworld had long been broken, and he also offered to assist them in locating a suitable location for the tomb. When the elderly couple learned of Mr. Zhu's abilities, they both agreed to move the grave in 3 days. Mr. Zhu then reached out and tore the yellow talisman from the bucket, and when the talisman separated from the bucket broke and a plume of black smoke erupted from it. Soon black smoke gathered in front of us, forming the ghosts of an elderly couple. Finally, Mr. Zhu inquired them as to where their ashes were interred. The elderly couple went to the base of the courtyard wall and vanished, implying that this was their final resting place. Everything went smoothly, and Mr. Zhu told me to go home and sleep. But I wasn't in the mood for sleep, so I went straight down to the well steps. only smelling urine and feces in my hands, afraid I wouldn't be able to wash it off for a while. Mr. Zhu's grandsons and his friend Gang arrived early in the next morning, relieved to see that Mr. Zhu and I were safe. Then, Mr. Zhu told them what had happened the night before. I called the company to request a break and stayed there because I agreed to transfer the bones in those 3 days. According to Mr. Zhu's advice, Gang dug up some bones at the base of the east wall on the 3rd day and discovered the bones in a large jar. Mr. Zhu chose a suitable cemetery on the mountain behind the village and asked Gang to bury the jar containing the remains of the elderly couple. A grave was built, and Gang, his wife, and their children came to worship. Mr. Zhu told Gang that every Tet they have to worship the couple, and when everything was finished, Mr. Zhu asks Gang and his grandson to go back first, and he would take me to the mountain. Mr. Zhu was in a good mood, so he invited me to stay with him for a few days to unwind. "This time, I will teach you some things, so study well," he said. I believed it was a wise decision to follow Mr. Zhu here. This location would provide me with numerous opportunities to demonstrate my abilities. The story happened when Mr. Zhu returned to his hometown. At this time, the opportunity was available, so he took me along to solve some strange incidents that occurred in the village. Mr. Li, a friend of Mr. Zhu, had a serious problem. Today, he invited Master Zhu to help him exercise. Mr. Li's family didn't look so good right now. During the conversation, Mr. Zhu talked about Mr. Li's family situation. He said that Mr. Li's family was previously considered wealthy in the village. In addition, Mr. Li had a son named Kanji. He didn't go to school but still made a lot of money. However, when it came to his son, Mr. Li sighed. Right after listening to Mr. Li, Mr. Zhu was also a bit surprised and asked why. Mr. Li said that his son joined the village's labor team to reclaim crops. Kanji and a few guys in the village worked together to do this. At work, when Kanji was happily chatting with everyone, suddenly he shoveled hard on the ground as if he touched something. After that, a cloud of black smoke rose from the ground. Before Kanji could figure out what was going on, black smoke enveloped him. He quickly passed out. He fell to the ground and lost consciousness. Some people spotted Kanji and they quickly took him home to rest. After a few hours, Kanji slowly woke up. People thought that because Kanji had a sunstroke, he fainted. But it was strange. When Kanji woke up, he didn't even know who the people were in front of him. His friends felt very surprised. They touched his head to see if he still had a fever and why he couldn't remember anything. Kanji suddenly appeared annoyed. He stood up and showed a very condescending attitude. He appeared to be a stranger to everyone, even though his friends were very worried. Not only that, but he also chased them out of the door with a broom. At this point, Mr. Li saw that and stopped him. Unexpectedly, Kanji didn't even know who his biological father was. From that day on, everyone in the village thought Kanji was crazy. He locked himself in his room all day, didn't brush his hair and didn't wash his face, didn't eat or drink, and just wrote and drew strange poems. He had been able to write poetry since he was mad. Regardless of whether it was on the wall or the ground, he wrote poems and calligraphy. Once Mr. Li brought him food accidentally, Mr. Li stepped on a poem lying on the ground, which made Kanji very angry. Kanji picked up a wooden stick in the house and hit his old father. Not only that, whenever Kanji went out and met someone, he would raise the stick to hit them. To prevent his son from going out and causing trouble, Mr. Li had to lock Kanji in the house every day. After hearing Mr. Li's story, Mr. Zhu asked him to take them to see how Kanji was doing. Mr. Lee took Mr. Zhu and me to the warehouse where Kanji was being locked up. Mr. Lee also told us to be careful. Mr. Zhu walked to the locked door and looked into the window. The room inside was very dirty. On the walls and the floor were poems with calligraphy that were written by Kanji. He was reading a book with his hair disheveled. Mr. Zhu watched for a while and then asked me to take off my glasses to see what was inside. I took off my glasses, looked inside, and as expected, a man was wearing a traditional costume with pigtails behind. The strange man looked at me with angry eyes. Maybe the ghost discovered that I could see him. I told Mr. Zhu what I had seen. He believed that a scholar of the Qing dynasty usurped Kanji's body. The scholar's bones must have been dug up when the ground was leveled. Mr. Zhu saw the problem but did not solve it immediately. Mr. Zhu thought that Kanji's body had been occupied by this scholar for too long. Mr. Zhu asked Mr. Lee for more information about Kanji. According to Mr. Lee, Kanji didn't sleep most of the day except at noon. Mr. Zhu suddenly realized that the ghost always clung to Kanji's body, and since the ghost couldn't endure the Yang Kui for too long, especially at noon, that was when the ghost broke free from Kanji's body. Mr. Zhu inquired about the situation and came up with a way to deal with it. Mr. Zhu sent me to his grandson's house to bring tools to use. He really wanted to deal with that ghost. Therefore, I did not dare to delay but ran to go immediately to get things. Mr. Zhu asked Mr. Lee to find a piece of Kanji's clothes and draw a spell on it. After that, Mr. Zhu gave me clothes and gave me careful instructions. I took those things from Mr. Zhu. After that, Mr. Zhu walked out of Mr. Lee's house quickly. I packed up things and went back to Mr. Lee's house. At the same time, I brought a stool and sat outside Kanji's room. I stared at Kanji's room. Before long, the midday sunlight would be at its strongest. The moment that Mr. Zhu said come, I stood up and went to Kanji's room to look inside. By this time, Kanji was fast asleep on the bed. Right after that, a ghost appeared from Kanji's body and was an ancient scholar. He had already left Kanji's body and walked straight out. The ghost instinctively rushed to the door. He actually went through the closed door and kept going. As the ghost left the house, Mr. Lee and I went into Kanji's room and put on Kanji the clothes that Mr. Zhu drew charms on. At this moment, there was an explosion from the yard. I rushed to the yard to check. It turned out that the scholar ghost wanted to get out of the gate but was stopped by a great force. He tried to collide several times but was bounced back every time. It seemed that Mr. Zhu had sealed this door. After repeating this a few times, the ghost still couldn't get out of the gate. The ghost started to get worried. The ghost tried again and again but couldn't get out. He suddenly turned back towards Kanji's room. I followed the ghost into the room. He was trying to jump at Kanji right now, but the ghost was stopped by the talismanic clothes. Realizing the opportunity had come, I took out the enchanted coins from my pocket. Then I quickly threw them at the ghost. The ghost was hit, screaming in pain. The ghost spotted me and rushed towards me. At that time, I had the weapon in hand. I had some experience fighting ghosts, so I was not scared anymore. I was ready to face the ghost. I clamped the coin between my two fingers and flicked him hard, causing him serious injury. I repeatedly flicked at the ghost. He ran around to dodge the attacks. Finally, with nowhere to hide in the house, the ghost ran out in the courtyard again. I closed the door and sealed it with the charm that Zhu had prepared in advance. The ghost collided back and forth between the gate and the door of the house. He couldn't get in or out, and the sun was already high, shining straight in and burning him. Under the fierce sun and high yang energy, in a moment the ghost screamed miserably. Then he turned into black smoke and spread around. And in the end, the ghost evaporated into air. When the black smoke dissipated, the door opened and Mr. Zhu entered. I saw a big talisman outside the door. It was Mr. Zhu who used to seal the door to prevent the ghost from coming out. I told Mr. Zhu that these coins were a powerful weapon and that I had defeated the ghost. I thought Mr. Zhu would give me some compliments, but he rushed into the room to check Kanji's condition. At this time, Kanji woke up. Then Mr. Lee saw us out the gate. He did not know how to thank Mr. Zhu for saving his son's life. What Mr. Zhu said made me extremely proud. He did not take any salary but only instructed Kanji to try to live a good life so that Mr. Lee could be happy. On the way back, I once again expressed my admiration for Mr. Zhu from the bottom of my heart. I felt that Mr. Zhu was a respected teacher. Master Zhu said that I need to practice more to deal with many other types of demons. I quickly followed him and promised to practice harder while I stayed here. After helping the Lee family exorcise ghosts, I felt that I had to learn more to gain enough knowledge in exorcism. I found life in the countryside and the city completely different. When I walked on the street, seeing everyone greeting each other, it made me feel warm. An elderly aunt met me and asked me if I wanted to get to know her granddaughter. So I stammered shyly, and Mr. Zhu told me to take the time to get to know many people to help my personality be more open. Master Zhu couldn't help but laugh when he saw my confusion. That day, Mr. Zhu and I visited the house of his old friend. As we were chatting and walking past the house, the girl came out from the yard. She also knew about Mr. Zhu's reputation, so she called out to him. The girl said that her family had not been peaceful in the past 2 years. She wanted to ask Mr. Zhu, but he ignored her and just glanced at her house. Mr. Zhu said that he could not solve the girl's problem, then turned and left. His behavior made me feel strange. I walked for a while, then turned back to see the girl standing at the door and crying helplessly. I went with Mr. Zhu to his friend's house, and then I decided to walk around the village by myself. I walked leisurely along the street while passing a supermarket. I decided to go in to buy a gum. I took the gum and paid. As soon as I came out of the supermarket, a girl walked up to me. That was the girl who wanted Master Zhu's help a while ago. She also seemed to recognize me. We were walking when she suddenly stopped me and wanted me to help her. I disagreed with Mr. Zhu's indifferent attitude, so I asked her about the specific situation. Her name was Lana. She lived with 2 brothers and 1 sister, but 2 years ago they suddenly became weird. I decided to go to her house to have a look. If I could, I would help her or ask Mr. Zhu to help. She was so happy that she took me to her house. As soon as I stepped inside, I felt a very heavy aura covering me. When I entered the yard, I took off my sunglasses to see if I could see anything unusual. But looking around every nook and cranny of the yard, I saw nothing. Lana's house also had a backyard. I suggested going to the backyard to have a look. We walked around from the side of the house to the back of the house. There was an older man stacking piles of firewood there. He was Lana's father. When he heard that Lana invited me, he was very angry. He complained that Lana should not believe in ghosts and gods. Lana argued with her father. I was trying to relieve the tension when suddenly I heard something on the roof. I looked up and saw a piece of tile falling across from Lana's father's head. I quickly walked over and pushed him away. The brick fell to the ground and shattered. This scene also scared Lana and her father. I looked up at the roof and saw the ghost of an older woman standing on the wall looking at Lana's father with angry eyes. Lana blamed her father for not believing what she said. I immediately looked back towards the ghost, but the older woman's ghost was no longer on the wall. I didn't know where the ghost had gone. I followed their father and daughter into the house. Lana was so enthusiastic that I felt a little embarrassed. I asked in detail what she said about the strange things that happened in their house. When it came to this, Lana looked very sad. The eldest brother fell into the ditch and broke his leg while walking in the mountains. The second sister on the road was hit by falling bricks and injured. The third brother did not know why he rushed to the street to be crushed by the car. Lana felt that this was not an accident, but something caused. But her father insisted it was bad luck and told her not to believe in ghost stories. Lana recounted how she often dreamt of her mother appearing as if she wanted to tell her something. Lana said she often felt her mother standing next to her bed. Every time she wanted to see her mother, she all woke up and her mother disappeared. Lana said her mother died while she was in college in the city. Her mother died of a serious illness. I asked Lana where her mother had been in this house. Lana was stunned for a moment and then took me to where her mother had been. She did not live in the main house, but in the warehouse. This warehouse had also been unused and abandoned for many years. Her mother was bedridden and unable to take care of herself. It was not convenient for her two brothers to live together, so her older sister cleaned the warehouse and left her mother in it. Her mother's illness cost a lot of money, so the whole family gradually fell into poverty. Lana felt very guilty for not being able to take care of her mother during her college years. Suddenly I felt someone behind me. Looking back, I saw an older woman standing behind me. She seemed to be seeing me, hovering in front of me. This was the first time a ghost had stared at me like that. I didn't know what her intentions were, so I didn't move either. Then she went around behind me. I felt her coming into my body, but nothing special. Right after the older woman completely entered my body, I suddenly saw something in front of my eyes. There were 4 people, including Lana's father, 2 other men, 1 woman. Well, they may be Lana's brothers and sisters. They gathered together to agree on something. I only saw the picture but not heard the sound. After discussing and debating, they seemed to find the agreement and they stood around their mother. The one who dropped the brick was Lana's mother. The 4 looked at the older woman lying on the bed with malicious eyes. Lana's mother seemed to have lost her sanity. One of Lana's older brothers grabbed the pillow and pressed it against the old woman's face. The older woman didn't struggle. The people around her were crying. Lana's brother was shaking and putting his hand on the pillow, looking very painful. Suddenly there was a thunderclap. My mind returned to normal. The scene before my eyes disappeared. It was raining outside. Lana didn't know what was going on. She asked me why I was so stunned and remained motionless for a long time. I asked her again if she rarely visited her mother during university. At this time, Lana confessed that she had repeatedly asked to return to her hometown, but her father refused to agree. I didn't tell her what her mother showed me. Her family did something so sinful. That's why Mr. Zhu refused to help her. I got up and left Lana's house. As I walked to the door, I asked if her mother had caused a great burden on her family. Lana said that because of her mother's illness, her family was stuck in debt. Both brothers were over 30, but neither wanted to get married. Her ailing mother became a great burden on the family. She stood in the rain, crying in regret. She seemed to know there were a big secret that no one could tell. I didn't dare to tell the truth. I was just saying that the guilty had all been punished for their sins. Her mother was gone too. Perhaps her mother had eliminated the grudge and no longer held any resentment towards the family. I put on my sunglasses and turned to leave, leaving Lana alone in the rain. I met Mr. Zhu on the way back. He knew I went to Lana's house. I had always felt that Mr. Zhu had magical powers. After this meeting, I realized that right and wrong were difficult to judge. Mr. Zhu also thought that Lana's mother had gone because she had vented her resentment. It was pouring rain that day, seemingly crying for the poor ghosts.